Hello everyone and welcome back to Hellstormwargaming. My name is Mikey and today we're bringing you a brand new book review. Thank you very much to Games Workshop for sending this through, but today we have Warhammer Age of Sigmar The Broken Realms Morathi. This is a brand new supplement to supplement your games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and it kind of progresses the story in the mortal realms of how Morathi is ascending to godhood. So I've had a quick flick through the lore. It seems really fun, but I'm going to be focusing on the rule changes today. But if you are interested in anything to do with Morathi, about that side of the elves, then do make sure you go and pick up this book. I think it's probably on pre-order today, if I'm allowed to talk about it today. So thank you very much, Games Workshop, for sending this nice and early, and I'm going to go through the rules today and tell you what I think about it. And I will give you a little caveat. I don't play Age of Sigmar competitively. I play Age of Sigmar very, very casually, so much so I pretty much exclusively play Warcry right now. But this kind of expands and it updates the war scrolls for a few units that you can find in those books, such as Morathi and her snake counterpart. It also updates the Elopexes and the both Eidolons and the Leviathan from Idoneth Deepkin. This has got extra rules for not only the datasheet changes, but also got rules for Cities of Sigmar, Stormcast Eternals, and Chaos as well. Now this book very much feels very similar to how End Times was kind of written, or how Psychic Awakening for the 40k counterpart was, where it feels like it's the start of an ongoing story, like a small series, which is actually quite cool. That might be seen quite obvious, but I imagine this is going to build up to something big, whether that's just in the lore or actually in game terms. Usually something like this leads up to a new edition as well, so something to be aware of. So I'm going to talk about the changes to the datasheets, and then I'm going to go over some of the new additions that we got, such as War Scroll battalions and even other factions as well, for the Daughters of Kane and the Cities of Sigmar. If anyone already plays Warhammer Age of Sigmar, you've ever played against Morathi, she was a bit nasty, but the way she worked was you had the normal version of Morathi on foot, who can only take 3 wounds a turn, and if every time she takes wounds, you roll a dice, and if you roll, I think it's equal to or over the amount of wounds she's got remaining, she starts with 6. If you roll over that, she turns into the Shadow Queen form, which is this version. They've kind of like written that rule out, because what happens now is you actually have both versions of Morathi on the battlefield, because the Shadow Queen, or the Snake Lady version, is essentially her dark shadow, or dark reflection, they call it. So they are both on the battlefield at the same time, and they are linked together in a quite cool way, in my opinion. So Morathi on foot changed a little bit. She no longer doubles the range of spells, but she still adds ones to cast and dispel and unbinds. But her spell has got a new name, which has double the range of the original one. So her datasheet spell is exactly the same, except it's 36-inch range rather than 18. But she no longer doubles the range of other spells. So it's like her own spell is double the range naturally, but she doesn't double the range of Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield, etc. Also, her command ability is 24-inch range now. It's completely the same as it was before, but they've extended the range on that as well. So the main change with Morathi and the Shadow Queen is that, again, they act in unison on the battlefield. They don't transform. So Morathi has a new rule called 1 soul, 2 bodies, and the Shadow Queen has 2 bodies, 1 soul. What this essentially means is that Morathi Kane, or the on-foot version is called Morathi Kane. If I say Morathi Kane, I'm referring to the on-foot version. If I'm talking about the Shadow Queen, I'm talking about the big snake one. So every time Morathi Kane takes a wound, you actually allocate that wound to the Shadow Queen, and then the Shadow Queen can only take 3 wounds per turn. So Morathi Kane used to have this rule, but now the Shadow Queen has this rule. So the Shadow Queen can't take any more than 3 wounds in a single turn, so she can take 6 per battle round. But any wounds that are dealt to Morathi Kane are instead dealt to the Shadow Queen. And if the Shadow Queen dies, Morathi dies. So you kind of have like this commanding presence at the backfield, and you have like a massive snake lady who wants to go and kill stuff all over the battlefield. So what this means is that Morathi has gone from 480 points to 600, but you get 2 models instead of 1. And you have to take both, you can't take them individually. But they essentially come as a unit, but then they act independently, as you would expect. So the Shadow Queen has had some updates as well. Her gaze of the Shadow Queen always wounds on 2s, and it always does d6 damage rather than like a degrading damage profile, and it's 18-inch range now rather than 6, which is quite a big change. She's now Bravery 10 rather than Bravery 9. The Heartrender ability has 8 attacks to start when degrades rather than 6, and the Crown of Serpents is 2d6 attacks. Also, the Envenomed Tail has degrading damage profile. I think it used to go from like 6 to D6, now it just goes to 6, 5, 4, 3, etc. And she has the ability, just while this model is within 3 inches of enemy models, add 1 to attack characteristics to friendly Kinari, Harpies, and Melusai, which are wholly within 18. So I think it used to be +1 to hit or something, but it definitely changed. Anyway, so she's still got 12 wounds. The rest is the same, but now she has the Iron Heart of Kane rather than Morathi Kane. And then they're linked together. So this seems like quite a cool ability. It's a really nice buff. Obviously, you're paying an extra 120 points for this model, this unit, or whatever. But I mean, you're getting both of them on the battlefield, so you never lose anything from one of them, because obviously Morathi Kane had her own command abilities, Shadow Queen had her own command abilities. Now you have both at the same time. So, and this is to represent that the Morathi has ascended to godhood now, so she can like control both, or you know, whatever. So the other datasheet changes. We've got the Archelian Alopexes, which are from the Idoneth Deepkin. So these guys have changed quite a bit. The Harpoon Launcher has 4 attacks rather than 3, and the Barbed Hooks and Blades has 6 attacks as well. The Bite is now 3 attacks rather than 1, but you've lost the Fin and Tails attacks. They've kind of like rolled those into 1. We've seen that with a couple of units as well. Bloodthirsty Predators has also changed. Rather than having like a reroll charge if the unit's taken wounds, it's now if you're in combat with a unit or within 3 inches of enemy units that have taken wounds, you get +1 to attack and damage rolls. They've also gained a new rule called Entangled, which is a unit that's been hit by any attacks made with a Taurus net launcher cannot make piling moves this turn, which is pretty cool. For all of this, they've actually gone up 10 points a model as well, so now they're 110 points each, so in units 1 to 3. So they changed a little bit, not a great deal. We also saw updates to both Eidolons, so the Eidolon of the Storm and the Aspect of the Sea. So these guys dropped points quite significantly. So the Eidolon of Storm dropped 50 points to 330. They're actually both 330. So the Cruel, some of the changes with melee weapons, the Cruel Hook is now 3s to hit rather than 2s. I think it was 2s before. The Crashing Upon the Foe used to be like +1 to hit and then +1 damage. Now it's +1 to the attacks and damage characteristics of the Spear of the Repressed Fury on the turn it charged. And it still heals D3 if it makes a charge move as well. Drenched with Hate is now changed as well. That's now add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by Idoneth Deepkin within 18 rather than within 9. And the Pulled into the Depth, I think it used to like the hero -1 to hit you, but now you get +1 to hit against the hero instead. But this guy's also gained a rule called Storm Shoal, which is a 5+ Feel No Pain or damage prevention roll against wounds or mortal wounds. On a 5+, you ignore that. Both Eidolons have that as well. The Aspect of the Sea has also changed. He's gone down 30 points, so he's 330 as well. Now he gets to reroll any and all casting, dispelling, and unbinding rather than just the one. But he still heals D3 if you don't do any. His Tranquility of the Abyss is also 18-inch range, and he also gets Storm Shoal with that 5+ ignore damage roll. Otherwise, he pretty much stayed the same, but obviously dropped quite a bit. And the Archelian Leviathan, or the Turtle, had quite a few changes, but he did go up 30 points, so he's now 340 points base. His Razor Shell is now 8 attacks with Rend 1 rather than 6 attacks and no Rend. His Spears and Harpoons kind of got rolled into 1 weapon, but it kind of got 6 attacks rather than 2 and 4. It's now just 6 attacks. 3s and 3s and then 1 damage. His Massive Scythe Fins, it gets 4 attacks at 2-inch range. It's now 2s and 3s rather than 3s and 3s. Rend 1 but flat 4 damage to begin with, but it does degrade as he takes more wounds. His Jaws are 2 attacks and it's flat 3 damage rather than D6. And it starts at 2s to hit as well, but that does degrade. He now has a 2+ armor save rather than 3+, but that also degrades. It goes to 5+ as he takes damage. But now he degrades at 9 wounds rather than like 3 or whatever crap it was before. I used to degrade at like 3 wounds, I believe, but now he's like, he doesn't degrade until he's taken 9. And he has 16 wounds with a 10-inch move and bravery 6. So he seems pretty decent. He's got Crushing Charge, which is on a 2+ D3 more wounds, or it's D6 if they've only got a wound characteristic of 1 after it's made a charge move to a unit within 1 inch. It's also got Jaws of Death, which is if a modified hit roll of attack made with the Crushing Jaws is 6, that attack inflicts 3 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. If it hits a monster with that, it inflicts 6 mortal wounds instead of 3. And then he's got Void Drum. Add 1 save rolls that target friendly Idoneth Deepkin units that have a wounds characteristic of 8 or less that are wholly within 12 inches of any friendly Leviathans. In addition, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by Morathi units that target enemy unit wholly within 12 inches of any friendly Leviathans. So I believe, I'm not sure if those abilities have changed, but they seem pretty boss. They are the War Scroll datasheet updates. So now we're going to go through some of the additional updates that we've also had. So for Daughters of Kane, there is the Xanathar Kai, which is like a new faction. So their abilities are Kane's Essence, add 1 to bravery characteristics of Xanathar Kai Malusai and Xanathar Kai Harpies as well. They also have Vault of the First Blood, so an extra hero can take an artifact of power, but it has to come from the Gifts of Morathi table from the Daughters of Kane book. There's a command ability called Power in Blood. You can use command ability once per phase when you pick a friendly Xanathar, Malusai or Harpies unit that's wholly within 12 of a hero. If you do so, add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons. And there's a command trait as well. And in the combat phase, roll a dice for each unit within 3 inches of this general, and 5 plus that unit takes D3 more wounds. So it seems pretty decent, seems pretty fun. Again, I've never actually played against Daughters of Kane, so let me know if it's crap or not. They've got 3 War Scroll battalions in addition. They've got the Viperic Guard, which is Morathi, the Shadow Queen, 1 to 2 Bloodrack, Medusai or Malusai Iron Scales in any combination, and then 2 to 3 Blood Sister units or Bloodstalkers in any combination. And the ability, they can use a command ability without spending command point once per game, which seems okay. Got the Scath Coven, which is a Bloodrack Medusa or a Malusai Iron Scale, 1 to 4 Blood Sisters, 1 to 2 Bloodstalkers, and 0 to 2 Canary Harpies, and they ignore battleshot tests. And then the Shrine Brood, which is 2 Bloodrack Shrines, 2 Blood Sister units or Bloodstalkers any combination, and 2 Canary Harpies. They have Blood Sacrifice, which is in your hero phase. You can pick any number of units from this battalion that are within 6 inches of the Bloodrack Shrine from the same battalion. 1 model from each unit you picked is slain. You can heal 1 wound allocated to the Shrine, or for each Harpy unit was slain, or 2 wounds for each Bloodrack Shrine for each Malusai model that was slain. So that's the Daughters of Kane one. There's a Cities of Sigmar Shadow Host. So this kind of represents some battle that's happening at the time. So the Cities of Sigmar have 2. They can say a Cities of Sigmar army allegiance from your army. You can say it's from a Broken Realms army. You can give it either the Mist Haven or the Harkoran keyword, and they gain some abilities for it. But they've got a War Scroll battalion. It's a Sorceress on Black Dragon, a Dread Spear, and a Dark Shard unit. And the Sorceress on Black Dragon is a unique named character. All units from this battalion must have either the Anvil Guard or the Harkoran keyword. So this is to represent Drusa Krayeth. They have abilities called Subjugated. In your hero phase, if the Sorceress in this battalion is on the battlefield, you can declare she'll compel her minions to attack savagely. If you do so into your next hero phase, add 1 to the attack characteristic used by Dread Spears and Dark Shard units from this battalion, but subtract 1 from the save rolls. And then there's a command trait, which is called the Whisperers. And at the start of the first hero phase, you receive an extra command point. So that is for the Krayeth Shadow Host. We've also got they've got special rules and abilities, command traits, artifacts, and narcotics for the Mist Haven. And then for Harkoran, they've got abilities, command traits, artifacts of power, and a spell lore as well, which I'll bring up some more information on screen because there's a lot to go through. But this is kind of represent each city that's involved in the Broken Realms in this book, and that kind of just expands and lets you tailor your list to be more fitting with the theme of the lore that's happening now, if you fancied starting a Cities of Sigmar army anyway. Then there's a Stormcast Eternals battle trait that's also here. We've got the Celestial Sentinels, and they use this instead of the ones found in the Battletome Stormcast Eternals, but it's a Stormcast Eternals army nonetheless. So this essentially changes your battle traits, not the Storm Host, but changes the battle traits that you get. So you can be Hammers of Sigmar, Hallowed Knights, Celestial Vindicators, Anvils of the Helden Hammer, Knights Celsior, Celestial Warbringers, Tempest Lords, or Astral Templars. They add 1 to Bravery for friendly Stormcast units that are wholly within 12 inches of Liberators. In addition, in your movement phase, you can pick any Liberators that did not move and were not set up in this phase. They say they will stand fast. If you do so, into your next movement phase, you can add 1 to hit rolls made by those units. You can add 1 to save rolls for that target that unit as well. And then you have Mortal Auxiliaries. 1 in every 4 units of Stormkeep army can be a Cities of Sigmar unit. Add 1 to the Bravery characteristic of those units while they are wholly within 12 inches of friendly Liberators. In addition, when you pick a unit to benefit from a command ability from the Stormcast Eternals book, you can treat those units as if they were Stormcast Eternals. Note, this rule allows you to use a Stormcast Eternals heroes to issue a command to a Cities of Sigmar unit instead of or as well as Stormcast Eternal unit. Note that you cannot use Cities of Sigmar heroes to issue commands to Stormcast Eternals. No flip, it's like we can command you, but you can't command us type thing. And then they got 5 War Scroll battalions. They have Wardens of the Stormkeep, which is a Lord Celestin, 2 to 5 Stormcast Eternal heroes. It can only be included in the Stormkeep army, and it cannot have any monsters. It has the Watchful Commanders. At the start of your first hero phase, roll 1 dice for each hero from this battalion. Add 3 to the roll if the hero is being rolled for as your general. On a 5+, you receive command point. They've also got Storm Tower Garrison, which is a Vexillor, 2 to 4 Liberators, 1 to 2 Paladins, 1 to 2 Justicars, and it must be Storm Keep, funnily enough. They got Brothers in Arms, which is a Paladin and Justicar units from this battalion that are wholly within 12 inches of any Liberators can use the same battalion. From the same battalion, can use the Shielded Civilization battle trait to stand fast in the same manner as Liberators. And then you have the Storm Keep Patrol, which is a Veritan, 1 Gryph-hound unit, 2 Redeemer or Justicar units in any combination, and they have Ever Vigilant. After armies are set up but before the first battle round begins, you can remove the units from this battalion from the battlefield. If you do so, you must set them up. Set the Lord Veritant from the battalion anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 inches away from enemy units, and then set up the other units from the battalion wholly within 12 inches of the Veritant and more than 9 inches from any enemy units. They've also got the Stormkeep Brotherhood, which is like a battalion of battalions. It's a Wardens of the Stormkeep War Scroll Battalion, 3+ Storm Tower Garrison War Scrolls, and 1+ Stormkeep Patrol War Scroll Battalion. Then 0 to 3 of the following War Scroll Battalions in any combination: Hailstorm Battery Thunder, Head, Brotherhood, Hammer Strike Force, and Vanguard Wing. It must be a Stormkeep army, and they add 1 to rule rolls for attacks made by models from this War Scroll Battalion that target enemy units that are wholly or partially within your territory. So get off my land type deal. There's also Venbrecht's Black Watch, which is a Veritan, which represents Kaiser Venbrecht. 1 Gryph-hound unit, 1 to 2 Judicators, 1 Castigator. The Lord Veritan is a named character in this army, and units from the battalion must have the Anvils of Heldenhammer keyword. These guys get the Ever Vigilant ability, so they can pick up the Lord Veritan, drop down, and then everyone else follows him. They also get a command trait called Fiend Slayer. When you choose this general's sanction ability, you can pick an enemy Chaos or Death hero instead of an enemy Wizard. In addition, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this generals that target a vampire. And that's it. And that's it for Stormcast. Idoneth Deepkin gets some mount traits. So it says if a Idoneth Deepkin army includes any heroes mounted on a Deep Mare, one of them can have a Deep Mare mount trait. Choose or roll the mount trait from the table below. If you have a Leviathan, you can take a Leviathan mount trait. And you can choose 1 extra hero or Leviathan to have a mount trait for each War Scroll battalion in your army. A hero or Leviathan cannot have more than 1 mount trait, and the same mount trait cannot be taken. So they have 3 for each. There's the Deep Mare mount trait. So they have Swift Finned Impaler. If the roll for this model's Deep Mare horn ability is 6, the nearest enemy unit, so it's D6 instead of D3 mortal wounds. You've got Savage Ferocity, so add 1 to the attack characteristics of the model's Deep Mare's Fang Jaws and Talons and Deep Mare's Lashing Tails. Or you can have the Void Chill Darkness, which is subtract 1 to hit rolls that are attacks made by animals within 3 inches of this enemy model. And the Leviathan mount traits, it has Ancient, so it essentially ignores Rend 1. The Denesian of the Darkest Depths. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds inflicted on each enemy unit by this model's Crushing Charge ability. This means it will inflict 1 mortal wound on an enemy unit on a roll of a 1. Or you can increase its Void Drum ability to 15 inches. They also have a War Scroll battalion, which is called the Bloodthirsty Hunt. So this is 1 Archelian King who represents Nemetar, and then 1 to 2 Archelian Alopex units. They get Deadly Guardians, which is add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with barbed hooks and blades by Alopex units from this battalion that are wholly within 12 inches of the Archelian King from the same battalion. In addition, roll a dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the Archelian King from this battalion if it's within 3 inches of any Alopex units from the same battalion. On a 2+, the Alopex takes it instead. The command trait is if Nemetar is your army's general, he has the Lord of Storm and Sea command trait from the Idoneth Battletome. Finally, there's some stuff for Chaos as well. So they have the Idolators. So when you choose a Damned Legion keyword for a Slaves to Darkness army, using the Damned Legion's battle trait in the Battletome Slaves to Darkness, you can choose the Idolators keyword instead of the ones listed. The allegiance abilities of the Idolators can be found on these pages. So they come with a load of battle traits, come with a load of command traits, and they come with some unique prayers in addition. And then they have a War Scroll battalion called Gresha's Iron Reapers. So then you have 1 Idolator Lord armed with a Chaos Great Blade and Lashing Whip, who represents Gresh. You have 2 Gorbeast Chariot units. He's a unique character as well. You have Soul Butcher as an ability. The Chaos Great Blade used by Idolator Lord from this battalion has an attack characteristic of 4 instead of 2 and damage D3 instead of 2. In addition, the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with his weapon is a 6 that inflicts D3 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. And then you have a command trait, which is Profane Oratory. At the start of combat phase, you can pick 1 friendly Slaves to Darkness unit wholly within 18 of the general. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by the unit you picked until the end of the phase. And that's it. That's all of the new stuff that you can find in Warhammer Age of Sigmar and the Broken Realms of Morathi. Seems like a pretty cool book. If you play any of these armies, it's kind of like a must buy. So if you play Daughters of Kane, Chaos, well, Slaves to Darkness, Stormcast Eternals, Cities of Sigmar, or Idoneth Deepkin, it does seem like kind of like a must buy for your army. Games Workshop are getting very good at selling one book to multiple armies now, which is good for everyone because it means everyone's getting updates all at the same time. As I said, I don't play competitively, so you're gonna have to let me know in the comments. Do any of these choices seem really strong to you? Do the War Scroll data sheet updates seem really good, or is it a little bit of a hidden nerf? It seems to me like it's a bit of an upgrade for a lot of it. The Morathi one seems really good. I mean, she's 120 extra points now, which is obviously always a kicker, but having both of them on the battlefield seems pretty strong. But I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, and do let me know. If you've got any tips for making these sorts of videos better, then do let me know as well. A massive shout out to Games Workshop for sending this book through so I could review it and kind of tell you what's all in it and tell you to go pre-order it because it's on sale now because I'm Games Workshop's biggest shill. But thank you very much for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can like this video, you can leave a comment down below, you can share it with a friend so they can find out all the new updates. You can also become a member. If you've got ad block on, it means I earn no money from this video, so you can subscribe for $1.99 a month just so you don't feel as guilty. Or you can buy some merch. This is last month's merch. It's more 40k themed. We've just had a new drop for Christmas. It's only available during the month of November. If you would like one of those, then I'd love it if you could grab one at hellstormwargaming.co.uk/shop. Otherwise, that's everything. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye now.